Hello everybody, it's Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. How's everybody doing? Hopefully good. So we are back now for the next part of our series in our start to finish journal here. This is the one that we've been working on. So what we're going to do in this part is we are going to do the papers on the ends, and we are going to do the closure stuff. It's best to do that before you do any kind of cover. And then we'll kind of see what sort of time we have left. If we have enough time, we will also do our tassel. These are actually really quick and easy to make, so hopefully we'll have enough time. If not, this will be the next one, is how to make the tassels. So let me get some of this stuff out of the way here. Alright, so here is our book, and we will open it up. And so we need to put our papers here and here so it disguises all of this and makes it look pretty and finished. And if you remember from the last one, I had 3 different ones that I wanted to choose from. It's these 3 here. And these are all scrapbook papers from Bo Bunny. They're the vintage double dot in 3 different colors. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to hold them kind of next to everything to sort of see which one looks, sort of audition them. Okay, so we've got this one here. And we have the darker green here, which looks really nice with this. It picks up the colors in this right here. And then we have the lighter green. So actually I'm thinking the darker green. That might look the best since it's kind of playing off of that right there. And we want something just kind of solid and plain because we're going to put our library pockets, we're going to decorate all this stuff up. So that way we've got a nice kind of canvas to work with that works with it rather than fights against it, right? So that's what we'll do there. We're going to use this one. The first thing we want to do though is we want to glue our little bookmarks down a bit more so that they're not, sticking up and over. And that's real simple. We're just going to take the Fabrifix, and if we can get it open, clean off the top. The top is always a mess. Alright, we're just going to put a little tiny bit down on here. It's just enough. I'm going to look to see kind of where it's going to fold over. Just so it'll kind of fold over on itself. Oops. Like this. And it's just going to be at that very edge part, so I'll take my binder clips here and kind of hold that down. And we'll go over here. Do the same sort of thing to this one. It's folding down nice right there, so we're just going to kind of put a little bit of glue on the edge. A little bit more than that. Okay, there we go. Fabrifix also likes to do these little strings. I don't know if you can see that, like little spider webs. Okay, we're just going to fold this one down over itself as well. And got another binder clip. Nope. Easier said than done, jeez. Okay. There we go. I'm just going to leave those there for a second. So with our papers, we're going to want to measure this. And then we're going to cut it. Now you can get both of them out of a sheet of 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, no problem. So what we're going to do is we are going to have it, we want a bit of a reveal. So we want it so it lines up with the edges of our book cloth here as much as possible. And we don't want it to go all the way to the crease. Again, you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch all the way around on it. So you just kind of hold it there. We're going to mark it here. And we're going to mark it down here. Hopefully you can see that. Move that up. So right about there. Okay. The trick is being able to see the pencil marks on the paper. Hopefully, if you hear a loud crash, then the book did not stay on the precarious spot that I put it. Alright, so we're going to get our paper trimmer out. Let's see if we can find our line. It's right there. And we're going to line this up. We're going to do the bottom part first because as long as this is nice and straight, obviously we can get both pieces out of this one piece. But we're going to want to line it up, and then of course this hang on to because we can use that in the different decorations and tags and stuff like that, and it'll go with everything else that we're doing. Bring this back in. There we go. And we'll sit it on here. And that looks good, which is good because this is the only sheet of this that I have. Okay, so that looks good. So we're going to take this one out of this side here, where we marked it. Take paper trimmer again. And let's see, where's our pencil mark? There it is. Okay, we're going to line our pencil mark up, and we are going to cut. And then one of the things I do that kind of saves a little bit of time and measuring and headache is I will take this then, I measured it on the back, but I'm going to go to the front. Let's see, okay, how does this look on the front? And this looks pretty good on the front too. So what I can do now is move this yet again. I swear, so much crafting is just moving things from one place to another. So we're going to line these up like this. And we'll put it into our paper trimmer this way so we don't have to fiddle about with pencil marks and that sort of stuff. Okay, put this in here. We've got it nice and lined up. I'll take your other one away. And again, we've got this spot that we can save for something else. And there we go. Et voila. And hold it up to this. And we're going to make sure again. And since these have kind of like a vignette around them, I like to put the darker side to the outside because it looks a little more natural that way. And same with this one. That one looks good. So one of the things that I do with these though is I do ink them as my distress ink. I prefer the distress ink to the distress oxide for this sort of thing because the distress oxide will kind of sit on top of the paper since it's a hybrid ink. But this stuff will just color your edges real nice without adding anything to it. It's kind of translucent, transparent, one of those. I'm just going to hit the edges with this. And that way, that kind of white core that you get from cutting it will disappear. And so it won't look, it looks a little more finished that way. It looks a little bit neater. Okay, see? Oh, it kind of fades into there and you don't really notice that edge. If you left it with the white core, you would probably notice it pretty good when you looked at your book, and then it would drive you crazy. We don't need that. Okay, so there we are. Move this to the side. And bring our book back in. So since Fabrifix and Fabri-Tac and those things set up really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and take those off. And see, now this lays down a lot flatter. So we can put this in here. And we'll put this one in the center of here for now, just to get them out of the way. And now it's, it's defying me, of course, because it's a little thick. I probably should have used a thinner ribbon, but all right. And I'm going to take my clips and I'm going to clip these signatures shut again, just because you fight with them a lot less that way. Basically just the end ones, the ones that are going to be a problem. All right, so we have our paper ready to go. So we are going to use Fabrifix. So with this, what you want to do is you want to take it and make sure which way you're going to put it. I'm going to sit it around like this. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to run a bead around here, around the edges. Get kind of close to the edge, but not too close, because if you get right to the edge, it's going to squish out when you go to press everything down. But you do want it to squish out as far as the edge. You just don't want it to go beyond it. Not the end of the world if it does, but a pretty generous amount of it on there. And get the lid back on that. Okay. So now we're going to turn around, we're going to put it on here. Now what I normally do is when I put it on, you have a little bit of wiggle room, but I make sure it's lined up straight on the edge, because if it's not straight, it can be a little bit crooked here, but if it's not straight on that edge, you will absolutely notice it. Okay, and see how this lines up with our book cloth that we use to sew the signatures in. Okay, so just press that down. It grabs super, super fast. I'll flip it around and we're going to do the other one. Same sort of thing. Make sure which direction we're going to go so we kind of have it in position ahead of time to make it easier. You have a minute with the Fabrifix stuff, but you don't have forever, because it evaporates. Since it's got that acetone base, it evaporates just like, you know, rubbing alcohol and nail polish remover and stuff, so it dries pretty quick. So you do have to move a little fast if you're gluing a large area, but we should be all right. Okay, so now we're going to flip it over. Try not to drop it on your pages. And again, I'm going to put it down, then I'm going to line it up where I want it on these edges. So it's nice and straight here. It's nice and straight here. And then it will appear straight here even if it's a little crooked or something. Okay, and that's literally it. So now we have our front and our back covers covered. It's our nice plain paper. So we can undo these, woo, throw them all over the place. And we can get our bookmark to behave itself. Okay, so there we go. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to have some way to close it, right? So on this one, what I've done is I've used ribbon here. I'll bring it up. Let's take the tassel off so it doesn't clang all over the glass mat. Okay, so I got this up here nice and close for you. Okay, so this is just, I put a hole in there and then I used a grommet, but then I used these connectors on there as well, and I'll show you what I did with those. Just because it was a nice little decorative way for me to pull the ribbon through, and it just looked more finished and cute. And as you can tell, I had put my front cover on before I did this, so I kind of had to tear the paper around it. Whoops, but oh well. Alright, so to do that, we're going to need a couple things. We're going to need a hole punch of some kind. So I have this. This is the Big Bite. I like this because if I need to get really far into something, I can, but with the little hole punch, the handheld ones, you may not be able to. It limits you. So like if you wanted to do, say, your hole in the center here and have something wrap around, you would really need to use this guy here. Okay, so we've got that, and let's see if I can find my eyelet grommet business. Little tiny things here. And my pencil is here somewhere. We're actually going to use a marker for this one so we can see it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to do my hole for this about a ½ inch in. Okay, so this one's nice because I can, well, actually, yeah, about a ½ inch. Because it's clear so I can see through it. And this is a centering ruler here. So all I have to do is get the things to line up here, 4.5, 4.5, and it's just a little bit over. And then make sure that's lined up on the ½ inch. And I just put a dot right here. So that's where I'm going to put my grommet on this side. And we'll flip it over, do the same thing. That way it'll be even. This should be interesting because the fabric's really black over here. So we'll see if we can see this. Hopefully we can. In theory. Maybe we'll punch a hole in that one first. Alright, so take it, make sure you don't have any pages stuck in there with it. And we're just going to put it over here. And I put this on a 3/16 hole. And then I just line my little mark up if I can find it. There it is. And I've lost it again. There we go. Okay. Line that up. And punch the hole in there. Okay, so we've got a hole, and of course since it's fabric you're going to have stuff coming out the other side. Don't worry about that. We will take care of that in just a minute. Same with this side here. This one's much easier to see, and if you have a lighter fabric obviously you'll be able to see it better. Okay, so now we've got our holes punched in here. I'll flip it over, get rid of my little bits. Make sure I don't have too much fabric stuff coming through like I do on this side. See if you can see that. See how there's the fabric's kind of coming through a little bit. Just take it and snip it, because otherwise it'll kind of interfere with the grommet that you're going to put on there. But we're going to be doing so much to that, it's not going to be a problem. Okay, so now we're going to flip this back over, and on this you have to switch it to the part where you're putting the eyelet or the grommet in there. And you just take the eyelet here. This is a 3/16 eyelet. Imagine that. Now we're going to put that in the hole. And then we're going to line this up. And then we're going to press it down. Okay? And so that makes our little hole for it. And depending on the eyelets that you get, I usually like to get the ones that are for like in the sewing section, because they just seem to be much better made. These ones are a lot softer, so they can kind of deform sometimes when you do that if you press too hard. Okay, so now we've got these. That's where our fabric's going to come through. And as you can see, this one, these aren't very long, so it didn't come all the way around, but that's okay because I'm going to put something else on there. So we have that. And then we have somewhere around here, our ribbon. So this is how I deal with ribbon, by the way, because normally you get them on like the spools, and trying to store these spools is a big pain. You can't really see how much ribbon you have because it looks like a ton, but it doesn't go all the way to here. It goes like maybe to here or something. So I just take the medium weight chipboard and I cut a square and then some notches so it looks like a little bobbin, and I use that and I wrap it around so I can see it. Then I use a safety pin on it. So we are going to decide how much ribbon we want for the closure. So let's see, about this much, which is about 11 inches. Okay, so we're going to cut 2 of these. And this is crepe ribbon, which I really like for it because you can get it, it's nice and wide, but it's real easy to tie. And I'll put this back on here. It's always the hard part. Watching me do anything with manual dexterity is always fun. All right, there's that ribbon there. Okay, so that's the ribbon we're going to use. So we are going to tie a knot in one end of it because that knot's going to keep it from coming through there. So we have our knot on here. And even though we're going to add those things, we can add them once the ribbon is in there. And I know that because I didn't get the idea until after I had put the ribbon in there and went, oh, that would have been cute. But made it work. Okay, so this should be wide enough. So we're going to thread this through the back of this. That's always the tricky part. There we go. Okay. All right, so there's one ribbon closure here. So once I've done that, I'm going to tie a knot on the other end too, just because it makes it a little easier to tie. Now you can put a charm on it if you like. I generally don't with the ends, but tie that like so. And I don't like the way that tied. I have some stuck in there. There we go. And then I'll cut it a little bit closer to the knot. Shape it a little bit there. Then we're going to put some fray check on this so it doesn't unravel. Same here. Tie our knot for the back. And flip this over. And put it through this one. So you have your hole here, and if you get that nice and small enough, all you need is just a tiny bit coming through and you can pull the rest. It's always a good idea, especially if you're not going to put anything else on there, to sort of pull on these a little bit and make sure it's not going to come flying through on you. And then we will tie this. And there we go. Okay, so we've got the ends. I never get the knot close enough to the end for my liking, you know? All right, so to make sure that these don't ravel on you, I use fray check. You can get this in the sewing section of any store. Walmart has it, Joann's, all those sorts of places. And it's basically a clear liquid, and you put it on the very edges of fabric when you do stuff like that to it. And it keeps the fibers, it glues them together basically. It keeps them from raveling on you. Clear nail polish will do the same thing. A little bit of glue will do that. Just make sure your glue dries clear or it's going to look terrible. But just put those on there. We're going to let that dry. And you can do that for the inside ones too. And so these I'm going to do like I did the other one. I'm going to cut that down just a little bit. Don't quite need that much fabric, especially because we're going to cover it. So put our fray check on there. Same with this one here. Cut that down just a tiny bit. And then we put our fray check on there. Okay. And we're going to let the fray check stuff dry. And I will set this off to the side and get my stuff to do the little decorative piece. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, so now on this one here, I used these little decorative elements to pull the thread through, plus it kind of hides the knot and it just makes it look a little more finished and decorative. So we're going to do that for this one as well. So what those are they are bracelet links. So they actually start out like that. That's one of the large ones. We don't want the large one. Well, we might. Let's see. Yeah, we'll use maybe a large one on the outside and a small one on the inside. Why not? Live a little, huh? All right. So we have those here. Now, as you notice, on here, you don't see the loops. That's because I cut them off. So to do that, I use these. These are jewelry making snips for metal. And then whenever you cut metal, it makes jagged edges like that. So we're going to file them as well. So I got a file for that. So I usually take my little garbage can thing here, and I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to snip one side at a time, because if you tried to snip the whole thing, it's going to put a little too much stress on these. But get it as close as I can. That there, as close as I can to that. And then I'm going to snip. I'll bring this over so you can see it here. And snip. And I hold it down when I snip the second one, because it's going to go shooting off, and you do not want this shooting off in your eye. So it's best to wear safety goggles when you do these sorts of things. And then still do that so it doesn't, again, go flying off, and because that piece is going to be a little bit sharp too. So you don't want to, embed that in your foot if you don't know where it went. And usually these sorts of charms are not, they're not made with super hard metal. It's usually some kind of pewter. So pewter, one of the main components is lead. Lead's very soft, which is why you have trouble buying some of these things in the state of California, because they won't ship there because of the Prop 65 stuff. So got this, we got one more after this. Whee! Okay, see, and that one flew out anyway, and they will. So you gotta be very, very careful with it. Make sure it's aimed completely away from your eyeball. I don't even want to know what this would feel like. Probably terrible. All right, so there we go. Put this on the side. So now we have our little things without bracelet links. Okay, but this, and I don't know how well this will focus, but there's little sharp edges from where I cut the stuff. So that's when you take a metal file. I have this big one. You can use one of the small ones, and you're just going to file it down and make it nice and smooth. Okay, and this I will probably fast forward just because it does take a minute. So now we have those nice and smooth, and you can see it created some dust. So I'm going to hit that with a little bit of water and then my paper towel so that it'll pick that up. You don't want metal dust airborne because when it goes in your lungs it just wreaks havoc. Even just a little tiny bit of it will. Alright, so there we go. So I'm going to bring the book back in. We'll scoot these guys over to the side, and our fray check should be fine now. And oh, I probably shouldn't have done the knot, huh? Duh. Oh well, we'll figure it out. So with this one, I'm actually going to put it kind of in through the side. If I have to, I can undo the knot. So if all else fails, just cut the damn knot off. which is what I just did because that thing was not coming off. Okay, so we're going to put this up through here, and this one we're going to have to get close to the center because the center is really, really small on this one, so it wouldn't work very well. Okay, and so I think we'll have it go like right there with the ribbon going through. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to retie our knot in the end because we're an idiot. I'm really hoping the other one comes out better, but we'll see, because every time you do something like that, you make your ribbon shorter. But hey, things happen. All right, so we'll go ahead and fray check this real quick too. All right, so that looks good. So I'm going to use a different one for that. For gluing this, we are going to use this. This is E6000. So E6000 is what I use when I glue metal to something else because it's very, very strong glue, and it's also very flexible, and it's perfect for gluing metal to things, and it holds really, really well. So we're going to put a decent amount of this, since most of the contact is going to be around this edge of it, and it's a brand new tube, so it's going to be difficult for me. There we go. Here it comes. Okay, so put a decent amount of this around and flip it around so you get both sides of it. All right. And then we're going to hold our ribbon here, get it lined up where we want it. We're going to press it down. And so for this, again, I'm going to use a binder clip. Kind of get my string out of the way as much as I can, just to sort of give it something to press down with. You can get these either in a big large tube, or these small ones are fantastic because I don't use it a ton. So with the large tubes, the problem with E6000 is really good at gluing stuff together, and the thing it's best at gluing is gluing the lid to the bottle. So, and believe me, no, you cannot cut it so you can get to the, yeah, that's a disaster. That was fun. All right, so I'm going to deal with this end here. I just cut this end too because seriously, I'm not going to mess with that all day. So hopefully this will be long enough to tie shut. We'll find out. If not, I'll be redoing this part. Okay, so again, we're going to put it up through here. Sure we are. Come on, there you go. Okay, put it up through here, and then it's going to sit right here like this with the ribbon going through. So we get the E6000 out again. And put it around the edge. Put a nice decent amount. Again, it's flexible, so it's real good at holding on. And then push this down right there and make sure you're pulling your ribbon tightly through there, and then we're going to get another, see if we have a larger one somewhere. There we are. Okay. Get this out of the way, and there we go, and that'll hold it nice and tight to that. So we are going to let that dry, and then I will come back. So this should be dry enough now that we can put the decorative pieces on the other side. And you will notice that these mysteriously got longer. It's because I tried to tie it with the stubby little things that had ended up there after I screwed it up, and that was just not happening. So I said, you know what? Cut the ends off. It goes in the scrap bin so I can use it for other stuff, and I just went ahead and redid them. So this is about how long they should be, not this. So, all right, let's go ahead and take the clamp off of that one, and we will open this up here. So now we're going to do this side. So again, with this one, I take it and I hold that back piece just in case. I'm going to put a little bit of Fabrifix in there to kind of hold the knot in. So just a little drop. I'm going to pull it tight, and then I'm going to put the clamp back on it, and I'm going to try to get that clamp right on that knot if it'll stay, because we want to get that as flat as we can. And same with this side. Okay, pull this out just a touch. Put a little drop in the hole there of the Fabrifix. And pull this through nice and tight. And smash it back down with the clamp. And now we'll give that a minute to dry, and then we will come back and put these on. So we'll turn back around to this one. In theory, that should be long enough, because again, this stuff sets up real quick. And I'm going to get my clamp on here again. Sure I am. Jeez. I'm just not with it today. It's been a long day. Okay. We'll take the clamp off of here. And I'm going to take my scissors. I'm just going to kind of trim this down a little bit, because I'm going to have this on top of it, so I don't want too much material on there. Okay, so again, we're going to take this, and then we're going to put this on here. Okay, and what I do is I kind of wiggle it down so that the knot is going through the center part here. Where's my, here we go. Put the E6000 on here. Put it where you can see it. This one we're going to get the whole back of it, because we're going to be grabbing that knot as well. All right. So I'm going to jam it down on here, and I'm going to push. And I'm going to try to smash that knot down as flat as I can. Bring my clamp in, and I'm going to clamp it down. And that will hold it nice and tight. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Going to get our clamps for the pages, just so it's not flopping over constantly and getting in my way. Okay, take this off of here. I'm going to trim that down just a little bit so we don't have as much bulk. I'm going to take our decorative piece and put a good layer of E6000 on there. I'll hold it up. I don't think it'll focus that close, but it's a pretty decent amount. I'm going to center that on there. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to smoosh that knot into the center opening. I'm going to put the clamp back on. Okay, and that we are definitely going to let dry for a little bit. So I will be back once again. So we are back, and our glue has dried on these, so I have taken the clips off of there, because obviously we don't need them now. I also took the liberty of trimming up the bookmarks at an angle a little bit, so they kind of stick out at the bottom. You can put charms on them if you like. I generally don't, but you know, it does help with that sort of thing. It'll kind of weigh them down, and the charm doesn't have to be at the bottom. It can be somewhere in the middle. Here, you just want to add some weight to it, so it'll kind of pull it down. So that's it for this part. Since this video is long enough, I figured we could save the tassel for the next one, because it'll take probably about the same amount of time that this took. So we are going to make on the next one our tassel here, and then if we have time with that, we're also going to start putting some of the lace and things on the pages like you see here. So it gives it a really nice look. It'll also help even out some of the pages that were a little shorter or that sort of thing. And then, yeah, then we'll go from there. And then I think the one after is the one where we will work on these deals here, because I have to tea stain some paper. So it'll be a perfect time to do that. So at any rate, that's where we are now at this point, and we can tie it shut since we don't have the little tiny short ribbon anymore. We have normal ribbon. And we are ready for the next part, which I will see you in next time. So I hope y'all enjoyed this, and see you guys later. Okay, and bye.